All right, that's that sound. That's that sound. You're in the championship rounds with King Amin of Essex One, hosted by Jay. We talk about boxing news and everything in between. We are in season 2, round 11. What's going on, my brother?
Hey man, everything is good, man. This is how you close the show, man. The 11th round, you leave an impression right before you fall on your sword or you stand over your opponent. So this is a very important round right here.
That's right. That's right, man. Before we get into everything, just make sure that you yourself let everybody know where they can find you Thursday and Sunday and every day.
Definitely catch me on the Boxing Voice TBV podcast, flagship shows Thursdays, Sundays, and every days that I can make it happen. Also, of course, don't forget to check me out on Instagram, King Amin of Essex One. You really can't go nowhere else and get boxing coverage the way you're going to get it from me. I'm not even, that's not self promotion. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it occurs. It's natural order. So be sure if you're on Instagram, check me out over there. I'll keep you posted on everything that's moving.
All right, definitely. As we do, everybody kind of tunes in here to get your opinion on the issues related to boxing, popular culture and where they cross paths, of course. So with that in mind, we're gonna get into the first article. So the first article slash kind of issue we got here comes from Yahoo Sports. Logan Paul says Floyd Mayweather has not paid him for their fight. So if we can recall, Logan and Floyd got it on in June 2021, 8 round, unsanctioned exhibition bout. He made the claim on Twitter recently. So again, we know, that social media is a place where not only do you promote yourself, but you kind of stir up controversy sometimes for the next bag. So first of all, do you think there's any truth to this? Why not? And let's just get your reaction first.
Man, the first thing I thought about it, I mean, listen, Rick Ross said it best that Mayweather money look funny in the light, right? It's a couple places I could start. I'm not going to attack his integrity, and it's a funny thing. Whenever a man is able to have a conversation like this, the first thing they say is, "Yo, money, you don't understand money. You don't have enough money." Well, the
Right.
first thing I have to do is preface this conversation saying, "Trust me, money is very important, but it is not everything, right?" So here's a couple things to where, money, how you out here looking bad. I mean, we got upset for Mary J. Blige for singing about chicken for Burger King. Sometimes we're very aware of people's behaviors and we associate it as such, right? That's with race, but sometimes we don't disown that materialistic culture. And I'm not saying we can't celebrate Floyd's prosperity, but it is okay to say, hey, maybe I'm not the type of person that might want to spend $18 million on a watch.
Right.
That being said, if he's spending $18 million on a watch, how the fuck you ain't pay this man what you owe him?
Right.
I know
I
the
mean, it seems like an outlandish claim that somebody would make if it wasn't true. Let's just take it from that perspective, right? Because if you make that kind of claim and it's not true, and you're not like clearly just trying to get a reaction from the person, that's like something that somebody like Floyd Mayweather quickly disputes like within the hour, showing a
yeah,
receipt.
yeah, yeah.
And then calling you a liar. So, I don't know. It's kind of funny. You know?
And see, the opposite end is that, sometimes when people say something, and the easiest way to dismiss it, oh man, he broke. That's why he's
Right.
saying he broke. Yeah, right. But what about when somebody's saying like, yo, you Mr. Rich Man, you owe me money.
Right.
You owe me
And
money,
I
Mr.
mean,
Rich Man.
listen, and we're not here to pile on Floyd, you know what I mean? Lord knows.
Slight technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. We got some bad weather on the East Coast. connection bad, man.
Connection bad?
Yeah, we good now. We back.
Oh, okay, okay. When did it go out?
Right when you started.
Oh, okay, okay. So listen, easy. All I was saying was that, Logan isn't necessarily the only person saying, that Floyd, has kind of owed him some cash, right? So in that spirit, we got this 2017 ESPN article where the IRS was waiting for 22, million from a 2015, Pacquiao fight, right?
Yeah.
So again, we're kind of seeing, a pattern here. And I think you know, I think it's a fair question to ask somebody, if people are making claims that you're not paying them, IRS is, I guess filing, I don't know if it's, I don't want to say a lien, but filing a claim for their funds, and you out making these type of purchases, I think it's fair for people to kind of question it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And let's go down the list of rich people games. If y'all don't think I got a little bread, these are some rich people games they play, right? They say, oh man, I was out of the country traveling. I forgot I owe taxes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, right. Another rich person games. They say, oh man, I didn't have it separate from my LLC versus my personal assets and liabilities. I got to go down there and get that straightened out, right?
Another one.
You know,
Somebody else handles that. I'm not responsible for that.
come on, man. You know how much money I got? You think I wouldn't pay that? That's easy, right?
Well, let me ask you this, and I'm gonna just say this, and I'm gonna move on. Mm-hmm. Now, these are all rich people with resources, right? Mm-hmm. They all have high-powered lawyers. How many of them have we read about the government getting it wrong or them not paying?
Yeah, I haven't really seen that,
We hear the same song and dance when it started, right? Oh, they wanted to embarrass me, this and that. No, you just didn't have the money to pay it. You just didn't have the money. Sorry.
Yeah, last person pulled that was Dame Dash. Like, yo, I didn't know child support. They got it all wrong, man. I was out of town, man. It's because I live in California, man.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I get it, but nice try. Yeah. So listen.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I was just going to say, man, again, it's not that we don't want to celebrate the prosperity. And then let me throw another one out there. Come on, you know how it is. When you're rich, man, you file bankruptcy all the time. It's a strategy. I respect all of that. You know what I'm saying? But if you owe somebody, in arrears, and if he hasn't been paid from a fight, you would think that's boxing 101. Again, 18 million on a watch, so-and-so on a Bugatti. He got the little strip club. Shit, if I was Logan, I'd be like, yo, you better ask them birds to run me back my $1,000,000. I don't give a fuck how you gotta get it. You know what I'm saying? I'll come up in the candy shop, snatch your ones off the masses, man, to get my shit back.
I mean, to be honest, I'm surprised he's been this quiet about it for this long. If it's really that much he owed, you know what I mean? Not saying the cat needed, I mean, of course he needs his money, but not saying he needed to pay his bills tomorrow, but still, man.
Yo, that's another rich man guess. I know you got money too. You don't need it. Ain't gonna kill you, is it?
Right.
You already rich. What's up? What you think? I'm stiff you on it? You rich, I'm rich, man.
I wish somebody played that game with me. All right, so moving right along, this article out of Boxing Scene, we got Mayweather actually has another fight coming up, but it's not a boxing match, right? It's another exhibition. This time it's going to be in Dubai on February 20th. The front runner, I don't know if as of this date, I don't think they picked an opponent yet. That's something else we'll talk about because that's something his team said. They didn't pick an opponent yet. They said the front runner is a 19-year-old YouTube star named Money Kicks, who's again the son of a billionaire. So all I'll say before I ask you for your opinion is that when they say Dubai, 19-year-old YouTube star named Money Kicks, son of a billionaire, and I haven't picked an opponent, it screams perfect entertainment event. You know what I mean? But not really serious competition in terms of any really type of combat. But what did you think of this?
Going out to dinner nowadays, let's take a walk. Going out to dinner nowadays, people would tell you like, if you go out to dinner, don't be one of them dudes that pick over the bill, right? Don't be the guy that says, yo, I didn't order a drink, man. I'm not paying for that, right?
Nah,
don't
be that.
Don't be that guy, right? Because that's broke people shit. It's just, it's just classless, right? I want to say, Floyd, again, if you got all this money, man, what the fuck is you doing fighting money kicks in Dubai, man?
On the helipad.
On the fucking helipad. That's broke people shit. And it's not like Michael Jackson, yo, I'm hitting the lick with the motherfucking, the whoever, the oil baron. They just got me doing the remember the time dancing on sand for a couple million at a birthday party. This ain't that. This is, this ain't Anthony Joshua bringing the Andy Ruiz fight to the desert. You know what I'm saying?
And it's exactly what you was thinking. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, this is not Lil Baby performing for $500,000 for the Prince of Dubai or whoever. Yeah. Nah, man.
This ain't that. Nah, this ain't that. This is like, you know what I'm saying? You're dancing for peanuts or some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't seem like it's the move for somebody. Look, maybe this how, Logan gonna get his bread. Like, yo, now see, here's the other thing too. Again, I'm just saying it's about whomever, right? Because if don't apply, let it fly. I know many wealthy risk takers. I don't know many wealthy gamblers. So, I mean, we'll leave it at that.
Hey, man. Well, we're going to have to see. Listen, regardless, I don't think the last one was televised. Yo,
that shit came on like 11. I'm going to tell you exactly, because I was watching it at work on a YouTube stream at 11 o'clock in the morning when he fought for $7 million. He fought Chenchu, some 18, 17-year-old, kid. And at the time, it seemed like a lick. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's, New Year's Day, 7 million. You know what I'm saying? But that, and then this, it just doesn't seem like somebody that's financially secure. And then you add the $18 million watch. Then you add somebody, that ain't even the government. That's short money. If it's an individual, the government is usually a long money debt, right? That's short money. What you owe them, like 2-3 million? Sell a Bugatti. Pay him. I don't know,
Yeah, man, it's interesting. Definitely a lot of perspectives on that, man. It's interesting, but listen, Mayweather's not going away, man.
Nah, man, he definitely not going away. And you know what? He got the hair implants too. He got the Fred Sanford hair implants. You know what I'm saying? Or is that his natural hair? You know what I'm saying? Like he got bills to pay.
Oh man, you terrible, man. Brother. All right, so look at the Paul brothers holding up the show this week. So moving right along, we got boxing scene. Let's move on to, I guess, the more serious prospect in terms of the Paul brothers. Jake Paul on facing Chavez Jr., right? Which is something that you pull me back if I'm wrong, but it's something I think that you had suggested in the past. I think
definitely.
In terms of a good test of some sort of start down the road of legitimacy, right?
Absolutely.
So Jake Paul, 5-0, 4 KOs. Chavez Jr., 53, 6-1, 34 KOs, 34 years old. Listen, we all know Jake Paul last fight, KO Tyron Woodley, looked bad, went viral. So wait, what do they call Jake Paul? Jake Paul again, the problem child?
Yep.
Okay. So listen, it seems like Paul is ready to take this fight. He's saying he likes the fight a lot. Chavez Jr., I guess, was the one that called him out. I think what we might be starting to see too is some of these boxers, especially after losses, you might start seeing them start looking at some of these YouTube stars as a quick way back into, obviously not legitimacy, but like in terms of the forcing their way back into the public conversation, in a quicker path. But nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Are you interested in this fight? And let's start there.
100% interested, and everything you're saying is correct. It is a great way for somebody like Chavez, who shit the bed on every other occasion when it comes to his legitimate boxing career, to say, well, at least he ain't shit the bed as the gatekeeper to the purity of pugilism, if you will. You know what I'm saying? For as unserious or lackadaisical as Chavez has been, for as much struggles as he's had outside of the ring, substance abuse and his immaturity, he's still a professional boxer. He's still a professional boxer. Keep him clean, and you just have a very good fight on your hands. I can't say they're on the same level, but what I want to say is Jake Paul's seriousness and his trajectory puts him in a good position that if he beats Chavez, you can't really knock him. Chavez been in there with Sergio Martinez, a middleweight world champion. He's been in there with Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying? Been in there with I think he's been there with Andy Lee as well. You know, so those are 3 world champions he's been in there with. 3 world champions as a professional fighter. So, you know what I mean? Minus the excess and the immaturity, the man's a professional boxer. And if he's on point, Jake Paul shouldn't stand a chance. But if he does, that's what I'm saying. Nobody can say what Jake Paul isn't anymore. They can't say what he isn't anymore, because that's why people respect Anderson Silva's win, or at least they should. Anderson Silva, and then people know that he was training for the Roy Jones fight for 100 years, and he's just a different kind of fighter, just a different kind of man. But, you know, him being able at 48 years old, being able to outclass a 34-year-old professional boxer, being a 48-year-old MMA fighter, coming back off a fucking fractured shin bone. You know what I'm saying? So one would think his lateral movement isn't, especially at 48, couldn't repair or get himself healthy enough, and he outboxed. You know what I mean? Yo, that's a great litmus test to put somebody on the path to a legitimate career. And Jake Paul and Chavez is a great fight. And if it gets circusy, you got it coming from 2 directions at that point, because Chavez, you know, a lot of pride. I don't think his father would be inclined to let him go down. I mean, he ain't got no control over it, but just in terms of backing his son, and when the slick talk starts, Chavez Jr. definitely be in the mix on it. So it sells as well. It would sell as well. It would be the excitement and the shit talking and the curiosity. It would be the spectacle that the Paul brothers are used to, and that would bring more fight. They could put Amanda Serrano on the undercard, right? It might not be the big Katie Taylor fight, but why not? Make that card even bigger. Put Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano on the undercard of Jake Paul's first real boxing fight. Thank me later. Somebody send me a fucking check.
All right, so this just came across my news feed today. I don't know about you, but Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, right? I guess talking in principle, or agreeing in principle, I guess verbally, to, you know, like a fight potentially with $50 million, either purse or a $50 million payout. I'm not sure. But again, I don't have any notes on this. This is just, you know, something that just came across today. So what did you think about this Instagram post? Anything to it?
And not only on Instagram, it's been reported, you know, that there's been talks, you know, forward talks, you know, verbal agreement, however you want to phrase it. But if it happens, I'm not shying away from it, because anytime to see Mike Tyson. Now, again, I think people need to drop the idea that he's going to, you know, wild out. Like, that shit ain't happening. That's not what we're there for. We're there for, you know, the reemergence, you know what I'm saying? You know, I guess the curiosity too, to be like, damn, Mike smokes so much bud. I want to see if he's gonna be in there geeking, or, you know, but there's still that same curiosity that's Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? So Mike Tyson gets Jake Paul. That's what these kids are doing. And remember, Logan is one up. You know, the less visible in the boxing world. Logan's been in there with Floyd. That's why he asked him about his money. So Jake need a legend too. Yeah, man, why not? Why not? Shit, why not? Again, put Amanda Serrano on the undercard of that. Why not? Like, that's good, you know. Another thing that came across, you know, we don't have it in the notes. Jake Paul stated that he made 41 million off of boxing last year, you know. You know, and that's just in the purses. You know what I'm saying? That's good money. It's good money.
Yeah, definitely good money, man. All right. So last article for the day, you know, kind of definitely we're going to switch gears a little bit, because it's definitely more of a serious issue, with more of kind of like a historical kind of context. But New York Post, Terrence Crawford claims that Bob Arum's racist bias hurt his career. So again, Terrence Crawford filed a lawsuit in Nevada. He claimed in the lawsuit, you know, that Bob Arum prevented him from landing big fights and ultimately cost them millions of dollars. Terrence Crawford split with Bob Arum, of course, in November 2021, a press conference that was public. Some of the claims made in the lawsuit, Bob Arum does not care about, support, or know how to promote Black fighters. And he, deliberately did not build Terrence Crawford into a star. So what is kind of your reaction? The reason why I kind of not chuckled about the seriousness of this is because, this is something that, you've kind of had a strong opinion on here, over the years. So what's the reaction, and is there any truth to the claims in your opinion?
Bob Arum. I got strong opinions about Bob Arum. And one thing I have to say is the boxing business is a dirty game. The boxing is just as dirty as the music industry, right?
Okay.
Fat Joe said one time, he said, yo, the reason why it's easier for artists, especially our artists, urban artists, Black and Latino artists, to take a shit on Fat Joe and Diddy and 50 Cent is because we are accessible. But when it's the William Brofmans and the Clive Davises and what they refer to as the tall Israeli guys, the Leo Cohens, nobody don't call them out, necessarily. So I want to say that all of them are crooks in the music industry, the same way all of them are crooks in boxing. Don King's a crook, so everybody's a crook. Bob Arum's a different kind of crook, though, because I think what he purports to do is, there's money there, there's opportunity there, but I think it's very difficult for somebody that has an internal prejudice or an internal way of thinking, an internal perspective about a certain group of people. I don't think you turn that off just because or when you're doing business. So when Bob Arum would suggest or purport that, Black fighters are automatically going to go with Al Heyman because they have a brotherhood and, he gets them to go against me. He tells them, don't sign with me. He says things and he does things that make you believe that, you have to go beyond the excuses. He comes from a different time. He's very reminiscent of Donald Sterling. You know what I'm saying? Although nobody's just never caught him saying, anything, defamatory on tape. But his whole character and the way he operates, it would suggest that he's a crotchety individual, and just by virtue of the era that he comes from, he has some built-in prejudices. I don't think Bob Arum is sitting around saying African American. Bob Arum could definitely be of the generation that still call them Black people colored. You know what I'm saying? So and that's a realistic thing that I'm saying. Now, I'm gonna say this too on my tiny platform, and I hope it reverberates. The Ali family should be ashamed of themselves for standing behind this guy. Because how the fuck they made the Muhammad Ali rule in boxing because Muhammad Ali couldn't figure out how the fuck he was going to get out of a top-ranked deal. And they made the law that after 7 years, that you could at least find a way to justify that the contract, should not, continue if you can demonstrate that, there's other equitable opportunities out there. They made the law because after Bob Arum saved him from obscurity, right? Mm-hmm. It's cool. You helped me out. But now I can't leave. I can't get out of this predicament. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, he was a fucking tax attorney for the Department of Justice. Like, he know how to put a motherfucker in the hucklebuck on paper. So just that nature within himself, he ain't letting nobody get away with shit on paper. And if he feels or think you have a certain worth or value based on his personal perspective or his business assessment, that's the way he's going to treat you. So it would none surprise me that he would treat Black fighters with less of an equity than he would treat perhaps some other fighters that he saw if their fan bases had a better value, or he saw their fan bases were more prosperous or more economically self-sustainable. He would use that as an excuse not to provide opportunities for a Black fighter. So is that racist? In a way, because it's systemic. It's his system, and it's in the system of boxing as a fucking promoter. So at that very notion that racism has to be exerted through a system, it becomes racist actions because his prejudices function in a system where the black fighters are not getting the same equity as the other fucking fighters. So yeah, and again, the Ali family should be a fucking shame of themselves, but it's no surprise. Again, I'm gonna take the hit for this one. They got Mr. Ali Walsh. Walsh is as fucking Irish as God knows what, but you throw the Ali in there. Ain't no fucking Walsh would have a problem with an Arum.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, listen, this is a very, like, obviously a very, serious topic, man. We've talked about it a lot, like behind the scenes and all that. When asked about it, obviously, there's a lawsuit, so, I don't want to judge too much from his reply, but he was very dismissive, you know what I mean? Claimed, obviously, he lost money on Terrence Crawford, said he wasn't a pay-per-view draw. All of those things may be true, right? But both of these things, only thing I'll point out is that both of these things could be true at the same time, right? Because again, Terrence Crawford, is what he's really alleging in the lawsuit is that, he didn't get the support, right? It's like he was on a label and still hustling like he was independent, basically, Now it seems like these are going to be very difficult claims to prove. You know what I mean? So I don't know how it's going to play out, but I think one important point that you made where you was kind of talking about it, it is a problem when it's systemic, right? And I think you got to kind of look at it as a systemic issue when there's only really three corners to hustle on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And think about it. If we're at the point, I'm not going to act like I know the politics as well as you. But if we're at the point where we're like, yo, if you're African-American, go to that guy because he's going to take care of you. If you're an Irish fighter, go to that guy. If you're a Mexican fighter, go to that guy. They'll take care. Then that's the kind of the definition of what we were just talking about.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I don't know what's going on with this, but, I know Terrence Crawford doesn't seem like a dumb person, and he doesn't seem like a coward to me. You know what I mean? So I know that's a wild oversimplification, you know what I mean? But a lot of times, not all the time, but a lot of times where there's smoke, there's fire. And it's like when I saw this article, that's kind of why I was chuckling, because you could have, I was expecting to see your name on the bottom of this article, as much as we done talked about this issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think also too, he did an honorable thing by, kind of, I don't know if it was given the benefit of the doubt, but letting it play out, because he does have a few legal specific points where they promised him 2 fights a year at a certain amount of money. And then when you go out there and you have the first fight, and say the first fight, they paid him $4.5 million, and then they owe him another fight. They said, we was going to pay you another $4.5 million. He was going to make $9 million that year. But as you're approaching the second fight for me, you're out in the media, saying, oh, he's so boring. I can't get him any fights. Nobody wants to fight him. How am I going to sell it? So then how can he get you up? You know what I'm saying? So right. you sitting with your wife, and you're out to dinner, right? El Cheapo, hell yeah. My wife ordered all that damn calamari. I don't even eat calamari. Shit, man, I didn't order that. My wife ordered. Like, damn, how you making your people look? How you making your people look? Now, again, it's your investment, but it's a tax write-off. Remember, he's a tax attorney. So in his mind, oh, well, we tried to get you to fight, but it didn't happen. This is the money we was going to pay you. If it was there, I could have got it to you. So, and he's going to find a way to write it off. You know what I'm saying? Again, it's in his mind. Again, he'll find the more equitable fight and say, hey, you know what? I'll this particular audience, this audience buys fights. In his mind, this is what he says.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be an interesting. That's definitely gonna be an interesting one to follow, man. Because it doesn't look like it's going nowhere.
Nah, man. Shout out to Terrence Crawford. That's a very honorable thing he did.
Definitely shout out to him. All right, so moving on to the one of my favorite portions of the show, the ABCs of boxing. So we're gonna do it a little different this year. Kind of wrapping things up. Just kind of get your perspective on certain topics. So I guess we're gonna start with fighter of the year.
Yeah. If I'm being honest, it's got to be Canelo. He fought 4 times this year, and he topped the year off fighting a legitimate opponent in Caleb Plant. Unified the titles. He took out Billy Joe Saunders. You know what I'm saying? He did pretty good this year. You know, he was active. Homie was active. I think in another way too, fighter of the year. You know, I got to look at women's boxing. You know, fighter of the year for women's boxing. Honestly, I think people forgot because she you know did the MMA thing, but Clarissa Shields did a lot for boxing. She did a lot for boxing last year. You know, even despite the pandemic, and you know she held it up even with the crossover too. So yeah, you got to give her flowers. You know what I'm saying? But definitely fighter of the year candidates. That's it right there.
All right, so let's move to who you got for prospect of the year.
Prospect of the year got to be Jaron Boots Ennis out of Philadelphia. Got to be. And he capped the year off properly in December with a devastating knockout over Thomas Delorme. Delorme has definitely been around 147 for a long time. I use that expression not disparagingly, but to say he's fought some of the best. And if you want to, you know, see where a guy is at, you put him in there against a veteran. Delorme is that type of veteran, and Boots just, you know, blew him out. Plus, his campaign was interesting. We talked about Terrence Crawford earlier. That was part of his campaign. Like he, you know, and remember the campaign, you know, from our childhood with the Gatorade with Michael Jordan. Anything you can do, I can do better. He said, "Yo, I'm better than Terrence Crawford." You know, right now, he said, you know, the level he was at this career, I'm already ahead of that, and that's a bold statement. You know, calling him out. You calling out Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Either he knows something we don't know, or he's going straight to the top on who he believes is the best out there. So yeah, definitely. We're going to hear a lot more about Boots as we move into 2022. At least we should.
All right, we're gonna look out for him. Definitely, you know, been hearing more and more of his name, you know, in the last, you know, definitely in the last year. Fight of the year, what you got?
Really, fight of the year. I like Fury Wilder.
Okay.
Fury Wilder for fight of the year. And I even got to jump in at the round of the year. I don't know if that was the 4th round where Wilder put Fury down twice. Mm-hmm. That was the round of the year. That was the round of the year because it was like, yo, we knew Wilder was getting battered, but up there goes that power. And then Fury just ate that shit and just came back. So for all intents and purposes, it wrapped up the drama as far as the fight of the year. It allowed the heavyweight division to advance as far as what we, you know, intend to see and who's the man and who, you know, still got a couple moves left or what have you. And then again, like I said, I skipped ahead. Round of the year was the most exciting round because a lot was on the line in that round. If Fury, you know, from getting knocked down twice, if he didn't get up, then Wilder, you know what I mean, would have walked into the sunset. But Fury got the fuck up and he got on and he did his thing and definitely established himself as the top heavyweight. Although I know Usyk has a lot to say about that. But yeah, man, definitely them two right there.
Okay. All right, my brother, before we get out of here, you got to promote yourself. Make sure you let people know where to find you on TBV and also IG.
For sure, man. Check me out on the Boxing Voice TBV podcast on YouTube. Very easy to find. Also very easy to find on Instagram, King Amin Of Essex 1 for all your news and notes throughout the week. Anything happening that you need to know about, you'll hear from me. Check me out, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, my brother, you know, always we want to thank anybody who takes the time to listen. Please continue to like the videos. You know, send my man questions, you know, comments. Please continue to share the videos. And, you know, we appreciate it.
Definitely, man. Appreciate all the support, all the views, everybody. Stay safe, man. Like I always say, get you some movement because it's medicine. Stay dangerous and don't waste your hustle.
All right. We're on it.
Peace.
Later, bro.
All right.